listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Once Upon a Time After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Once Upon a Time After Show.
Wow, intense music. Guys, Bing is for doing, and we are doing the first after show of the season for Once Upon a Time right here on AfterBuzzTV.com. So season 2, episode 1 of Once Upon a Time. I'm your host, Cathy Kelley, and I'm going to go around the circle and let my lovely co-hosts introduce themselves.
Hey everyone, I'm Tiona Hobson.
Hi, I'm Marisa Serafini. Hey, what's up guys? I'm Kaori Takee.
So we are all so excited to have Once Upon a Time back. Yes, what did you guys think overall of this episode?
Crazy. That's a great way to start season 2.
Yeah. With a lot more questions. Like, we got some answers, but then we got a million more questions.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was, we're on West Coast time, so East Coast time, all the feeds were coming back in, like, it was a great episode. I'm like, I can't wait to see it, and man, like, now I'm like, what's next? What's next?
Yeah. I mean, we got so many new characters, we got to see how magic happens in Storybrooke, and it was intense. I said while we were watching it, I was like, I feel like this episode has ADD because it was all over the place, seriously. So the first thing is, at the end of last season, we were kind of left with this, purple haze, magic in Storybrooke. What was going to happen? Were, the characters going to go back to this, enchanted land, or were they going to stay there? And those questions were answered.
Yeah, they were. They were answered pretty early in the episode too. I felt I was very happy that we got an answer right away and they didn't prolong it to the end of the episode. Like, they got that out of the way and moved on.
They nipped it in the butt and then just brought on more questions. So.
Well, they said that magic now is in Storybrooke, but that their enchanted land, they told us at the beginning of the episode that it was gone. Like, this curse got rid of that land.
Well, the thing is, like, they say that magic is back in Storybrooke, but no one really knows how to manipulate it yet until you see it at the very end of the episode. So I would like to see how magic works in the real world, because it's definitely going to be different. I guess everything's backwards.
Yeah, like the blue fairy, when she was saying, I don't have a wand or pixie dust, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help us out with Regina and her powers and stuff, so it'll be interesting to see how they kind of play that off of everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Regina has some power, but she doesn't have all of it.
Yeah. And I mean, it was intense, and I mean, Rumpel said throughout this entire episode, he was like, magic is different, and we saw that play out throughout this entire episode, and I'm sure we're going to see it throughout this entire season. People figuring out how to use their powers, how to use magic, and it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But one of the main things which I thought was so it was cool to see during this episode was how all the characters just kind of recognized each other again. They were like, the Seven Dwarfs come up and they not introduce themselves, but they say, Your Highness, to Snow White, and I mean, everything just seems like normal again.
Except they're in a weird place. But yeah, it was definitely normal, and I thought that was one of the cutest scenes when the dwarves all kind of bowed to her too, and they turned around and then they ran and like hugged each other. That was just, I don't know, it was an awe moment for me.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was sweet, and then it got to the point where Prince Charming and Snow White met. Emma in the real world, and I'm like, this is sweet and endearing, but yet kind of awkward.
Yeah, it was super awkward. I just might add that it was interesting that you guys said that it was normal, because once upon a time is never really normal, right?
Normal.
I mean, they're like back together and they're like, it's a family reunion, but they still don't really know how to use their magic or where they are, so it's going to be definitely different, right? Yeah. So.
And the fact that they still have their memories from the real world, like, and their conversations.
I mean, most awkward conversation of this entire series thus far is, Snow saying, like, I guess Emma and I should have talked about my one-night stands. And Charming goes, wait, one-night stands? And she's like, well, we were cursed, so it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. It was just Dr. Whale. Like, no big deal.
And then Henry comes up and he's like, Grandpa?
Grandpa, I just grew 10 years older.
He doesn't look old enough to be a grandpa.
Yeah, but the fact that David called him, kid. Like, I don't feel that's the kind of response that David would say to, like, yes, I am a grandfather, but kid. It just felt out of character.
Yeah, one of the things I started noticing was, especially with David in the real world, his voice was kind of like back to his I'm charming voice. When he was talking to Henry, I can't pinpoint what it was, but he was like, yes, well, don't worry, I will save the day. And I was like, oh, it's very charming in like the new world.
Yeah, for sure. And so during this whole reunion, it's kind of, we go back and forth between this reunion and everyone in Storybrooke kind of, coming together and being happy, except for Emma, who's not happy.
Right. I mean, what else is new?
But we also see these new characters. We are introduced to, Prince Phillip, to Aurora. We see him, come in, give her true love's kiss, wakes her up, like every single story. And she is, woken up in this desolate place, and we're not sure at the beginning of the episode what that is. But what do you guys think of the introduction of these new characters so late in the game?
I liked it because it was very reminiscent of season 1, how the pilot opened up with Snow White coming, waking up to Prince Charming, and then starting off season 2 with the kind of the same story with Aurora and Phillip. So I don't know, it's just like starting again.
Yeah. I think that was a really smart way of doing it. I was really confused at first. I was like, wait a minute, I haven't seen these characters before. Where were they in Storybrooke? And I was like, man, I need to recap on season 1 or something. But then I realized there's somewhere else. There's maybe another world. So it's really interesting how they're going to bring this all back together.
Yeah. And Mulan was the third character who was introduced, and I know you actually have some.
Yeah, Mulan actually isn't a fairy tale character at all. She's based off of old, tales from back in the day, and she was like a real person who really did take over her father's place in the army. She was never discovered like the Disney movie. Mulan kind of has her discovered and falls in love with the prince, typical Disney. But yeah, she was never discovered, but it's based off of an ancient tale, and I thought that was really kind of cool how they're bringing, she's not a fairy tale character, but she's still a part of this fairy tale world. So kind of opens you up to what other characters out there can they bring in who don't necessarily fit the trait of fairy tale.
I think that Once Upon a Time has a lot of, they're basing on a lot of Disney movies. Because, Seven Dwarfs don't have a name in the original version, and they have a name in this one. And then you see characters like Jiminy Cricket, and that's very Disney. So I think a lot of it's going to come out of Disney. And I think ABC and Disney are
it's all one giant machine.
Married.
They're married. That's
ABC and Disney, they put a ring on it. But yeah, so one of the other things that I thought was funny was this Death Eater looking character that we're introduced to. What was he called? The Soul Sucker.
/ Wraith.
Wraith, yes.
Yeah.
And what did you think of this too?
The first thing I thought was Death Eater. I thought of Harry Potter. I was like, oh my gosh, it's Harry Potter coming to Fantasy World, whatever we're calling it now. But yeah, it wasn't Harry Potter.
I was just really confused because I feel like in most of the fairy tales that we're accustomed to, the prince fights a dragon. And I have never heard of a soul-sucking creature that looks like the Dementor.
Well, I think it's kind of a good thing to have because we had just finished the season finale of season 1 with a dragon fight, so bringing in this new sort of evil spirit soul sucker, I think it's a good way to kind of bring in a different type of villain, and hopefully we'll get to see more of it, like to explain like where it came from, how exactly it works, and who else it's kind of destroyed.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, we see in this that he gets marked, so we find out what exactly that does throughout this entire episode. Where is that? You look like you have something to say.
Yeah, that medallion. What was it? Medallion thing.
Yeah, that's not it.
It had a weird symbol on it that I kind of feel like might be important. Like maybe if we knew what that symbol meant, and we would know.
I mean, for one thing's for sure, Rumpelstiltskin knows what it means because he has that in his shop of horrors. He seems to have pretty much.
Yeah, what doesn't he have?
All the mysteries solved.
I know, really.
He's probably got some pixie dust stored up, so
yeah.
They could go. Blue Fairy could go get some pixie dust.
I really want to talk about Rumpel and like his relationship with Belle. Before we get into that, I know one of the other elements that we're kind of introduced to during Aurora, Prince Phillip, and Mulan's storyline is that Mulan is in love with Prince Phillip.
Yeah,
that was a huge curveball for me.
Was that really confirmed though? I mean, it was like insinuated, but she doesn't really admit it. And then there's other times when it's like, just assumption.
I thought she did admit it though, because Aurora calls her out and she's like, the reason why you're going after Phillip to save him is because you're in love with him. Like, I know that feeling. And Mulan was like, well, if you fought as many battles as we did. So I feel like later in the episode, we do find out that, there was a curse on this part of the land, and they were frozen in time for 28 years. And maybe something happened between Phillip and Mulan while Aurora was asleep for these 28 years that, maybe it wasn't a one-night stand like Snow had with some people. Maybe it was like a 28-year stand.
Well, I kind of feel like maybe because Mulan did mention that like they went through so many battles together that maybe they developed this camaraderie, and she feels obligated to go save her partner in crime and whatnot. So maybe it is a little bit just more than love, in the romantic way, but it's just like love for
in a friendship type of way, because he does when he's sacrificing himself before the monster, he's kind of like, I have to do this to save both of you. I mean, he kind of slips and says like you, and then he remembers the other one too.
So
but
you guys think that he loves Mulan, but he's not in love with Mulan?
I think they're confused.
I think that Mulan loves him in this storyline, but it's evident that after this curse has been lifted and time has started again, that he is in love with Aurora. That is his true love.
See, for me, I think that it's not yet developed. Like, we don't have like a straight answer whether it's defined that Mulan has a thing for him or not. It's still kind of questionable. She turned around, like, hesitated, like, and it could be either like, you caught me, or it could have been like, what are you talking about, woman? It could be one of those things. So we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. Maybe they'll have like, a little love triangle going on.
But I think that Aurora and Phillip are truly, the true loves, because they kept saying back and forth to each other, I love you.
And they had a pretty hardcore makeout session.
Oh my gosh.
That makeout session was, I was like, woo.
I would not mind to be Aurora in that situation.
It just reminded me of the Virgin Diaries.
That it did.
So there was so much going on in this episode. I want to talk about Mr. Gold and Belle, like we were talking about earlier. But first, I just want to remind everyone at home that AfterBuzz has so many shows going on. I mean, we're all on other shows. What are you guys on?
Right now, I'm just doing Once Upon a Time.
Okay.
I'm also on Glee.
Glee.
I'm just on Once Upon a Time right now.
I'm doing Married to Jonas, and then there are 45 other shows this week, 50 shows next week. I mean, we have so many shows. We love giving you free content, and you know, all of our podcasts, all of our videos, they're free for you. All we ask is for you to rate, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend, because we really do love that feedback, and we love bringing you this free content. That is the way that we get to do it. So
Yes.
keep
And
on doing that.
It's a whole new season and a whole new panel, you know, more opinions, more new opinions,
Yeah.
and more new episodes. So hopefully we can just keep bringing you good content
Yeah.
and keep giving us good feedback.
I mean, there are so many good fall shows starting,
Yeah.
like Scandal, what is it,
Revenge.
666 Park Avenue, Revenge is coming back,
Dexter.
Boardwalk Empire. I mean, we could go on and name a million different
man.
shows, but we have all these great, you know, podcasts for you. Definitely subscribe, check them out. If you have any other favorite shows, I'm sure we're doing a podcast for it. If not, let us know, and we'll try to do a podcast for you. So,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's true.
Yay! So, Mr. Gold and Belle, we saw their relationship kind of developing last season, you know, back in this enchanted land, and now they are in Storybrooke. And Mr. Gold did not know that Belle was
Alive.
in Storybrooke for the 28-year span. Regina hid that from him, which is huge. And now they're, you know, back together, reunited, and he has this vendetta against Regina, obviously. But Belle swears him, or, you know, tells him that I don't want you to kill Regina. I don't want you to take revenge by using magic. What did you guys...
My first thought when I heard the promise and he was like, I promise I won't do it. It's like, well, he already broke a promise to his son.
Right.
So is he going to break this promise again? Like,
He did.
Yeah.
This episode, he pretty much did. Or attempted to.
But he is, you know, funny with his words. So he said, you know, he wouldn't kill her. So that's why he kind of sent out the soul sucker to get her instead. Which, I mean, her soul probably does need to get re-cleansed a little bit.
I didn't even think Regina had a soul to be sucked, but...
Go ahead.
I like the fact that Belle told Mr. Gold, or Rumpelstiltskin, to not hurt Regina, because if you guys are familiar with Beauty and the Beast, Belle is that very sweet person who doesn't do exact any harm on anyone. So I thought that was very fitting for the Belle character. And yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
Gonna go. No.
I mean, I guess that if there was going to be a beast on the show and not a real beast, I guess it would be Rumpelstiltskin, right?
Yeah.
It's always interesting to see how they, you know, use these characters and how every single one of these characters is intertwined in some way. And all of these stories that we've grown accustomed to are actually, you know, related to each other. It's so cool, you know, as an adult to be reliving these stories that you remember hearing over and over as a kid.
And and I like the fact how, yes, they are all intertwined. In Once Upon a Time, like Snow White is good friends with Red Riding Hood.
Oh, I love that.
And just like all these stories that you normally don't see together, but they're all friends.
They fit.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe even Prince Phillip was the guy in combat with Mulan who like helped her, you know, climb up that pole and, you know, trained her to be a warrior. You don't know. I mean,
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
true.
yeah. I mean, he's not Asian clearly, but
It's okay, white on rice. Right?
minor technicality. Yeah. So going back to the whole Mr. Gold and Belle dynamic, you know, he goes up to Regina and he basically, you know, says, "You're a jerk." I mean, in the most layman's term possible. But it seems like he has a lot of power. I mean, it's on the TV now, but he brings back this demon to exact revenge on Regina, and he seems like he's the only one who knows how to control magic in Storybrooke, which is huge. And I know, I forgot who mentioned it while we were watching, but someone was like, I feel like Rumple always has all the cards. Like, he is always in power, and even when someone has power for a second, he is always the one to take it back. And do you think that that's the same, you know, in Storybrooke as it was the Enchanted Land?
I think he's like the only one that can manipulate both worlds. That's my suspicion. He always seems, like you said, to have an edge and have all the trinkets in his house or shop or whatever. And the only thing that blindsided him was the Belle thing. That was the only thing.
But for Rumple, because in Fairytale Land, Rumple comes from a place of cowardness, and he has so much. He's been power hungry because he was a coward. And so in the real world, he's just this place where everyone will listen to him. He already has that power. So there's that slight difference there.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting when we first see Mr. Gold and Belle back together, and she's like, "Oh, well, this is why you brought back the magic," and he goes, "No, but it might prove to be." It might come in handy now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, so what was his real reason for bringing back the magic in the first place? Because he didn't know that Regina had Belle, didn't know that she was in Storybrooke at all. So what made him want to bring back the magic to begin with?
That's a really big question, because he could have done it this whole entire time, pretty much. And
yeah, he had 28 years.
I feel like something had to have been done. Like, I feel like Emma had to come back and realize, or, you know, believe in these storytale characters for him to be able to do that. Like, there was something stopping him, and I find it interesting. I'm still kind of confused, and hopefully we'll get these answers, but I feel like in the first season, we saw Rumpelstiltskin tell Regina, when she was initially going to start this curse, that he made her promise that when they went to this new land, when they went to Storybrooke, that she would be indebted to him. Like, whenever he asked her for something, she had to do it. And I feel like that wasn't really the case throughout last season, and maybe this season as well.
I agree, because Mr. Gold usually is helping Regina in the real world instead of Regina helping Mr. Gold.
Yeah, she goes to him for a lot of things, like when she needed help with Catherine, David's wife, getting rid of her. She kind of went to Mr. Gold like, "Hey, I have a problem here. Can you help me fix it?" And I mean, he does, but then he doesn't at the same time. But it's definitely a lot of her going to him instead of the other way around.
Yeah,
I just don't think he's to be trusted. Even when he makes a promise, he might keep it, might twist it to kind of keep it. And even Regina, who trusted him, he backstabbed her. Yeah. Even when he does favors for Emma, he expects something back. There's just nothing genuine about him.
Yeah. He's definitely on his own side in this whole
someone to watch
battle.
out for.
And very two-faced.
I thought that Belle would change him. I genuinely thought that he was going to turn good for her. And
it'd be too easy, wouldn't it?
It would.
Yeah. It would definitely lack a lot of drama in the show. But I mean, I want to believe in the good in people, and I felt like she really brought out the good in him. But it doesn't seem like that's the case.
Well, that's the thing. Women always want to change a bad man, right?
And Belle is
something about those bad boys.
But I like the fact that Belle did tell Mr. Gold, like, straight to his face, that I thought you were a different man. And she laid it out. And yet she still came back to Mr. Gold.
Well, she did. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I feel like he should have changed at least a little bit, because he's gone through the past 28 years thinking Belle was dead, because that's what Regina told him. She said, "She's dead, like, gone forever, you'll never see her again." And so when you get that second chance with the love of your life, aren't you supposed to kind of be the better person and, you know, really take your next shot, like, all right, I'm gonna do it right this time?
I mean, it's the first episode of season 2, so let's give him a little bit of trust, even though we shouldn't.
I think under every bad guy, you can kind of what is it? There's like one good thing, and I feel like in this situation, Belle sees that chipped cup, and she knows that deep down there's still some good in Rumpelstiltskin, and she wants to find it. She wants to be the one that brings it out, like most girls. And hopefully throughout the season she succeeds. I don't know if that'll happen, but I mean, I feel like there's hope for him.
Yeah.
So
Mr. Gold, he is a character with a lot of layers, and Belle is just that kind of person who will just break him down and pull those layers back like an onion.
Yeah, she definitely gets him and understands him. She can read him like a book, as they say. So and Belle liked to read in her fairy tales.
Oh,
she did.
Yeah.
Underlying.
She also liked to sing.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I love that movie.
Beauty and the Beast is like one of my all-time favorite stories.
Yeah.
I know.
Disney movies.
Yeah,
For you, ABC.
Yes. So the biggest part of this episode is when Rumpelstiltskin summons this soul-sucking demon Dementor thing, and I mean, everyone is going after Regina. All of the townspeople realize that she's an evil witch, literally, and they run after her to, run to her house to go try to kill her. And what did you guys think about this? Because I was kind of conflicted. Henry says, don't let them kill her. To Emma, he says it to Snow, and he says it to Charming. And then they go and they save her.
I think that as a 10-year-old boy, growing up, that's his mom. Even though she's evil, she can be whatever she is, but at the end of the day, that's still the one person who raised him. So of course he's still gonna have a soft spot. And I mean, even though he kind of all season 1 called her an evil witch to her face, I think that he still kind of has a soft spot. He doesn't want to see her be killed over it, but he does want her to be punished for what she did to everyone.
Well, I think that he sees that he believes in a good side of her because she does treat him really well, and he just wants everyone to coexist happily, and that's like the kid in him and the fairy tale land and all that beautiful stuff.
Yeah, he's the good, innocent voice that Storybrooke still needs now that everyone has now that magic is back, but Henry's still that constant, good, innocent character.
I agree with that. Yeah. And I feel like Henry is Regina's Achilles heel. Like, since she doesn't have her father anymore, who is also Henry, I mean, he's become, the one person that she loves and, still cares for in this place. Which is just crazy that she actually cares for something. But one of the things that came out of this whole scene of, all of the townspeople running up to Regina's house is that we heard more about Dr. Whale. And that was something that we've been wondering all last season. Who is this Dr. Whale guy? Because we had no reference to him in the Enchanted Land. And he went up to Prince Charming when Prince Charming was trying to save Regina and said, "You are not my prince." What do we think that means?
That he doesn't take authority very well?
Or that maybe he was like exiled or something. He has something against Regina or the kingdom in itself. Because
how else would he have gotten there without the curse kind of coming around? But I mean, if we jump to like the end of the episode for a brief second, like, maybe he was from a different land within there, so he wasn't technically his prince, but someone was his prince at some point.
I was also kind of curious if he was one of the few people, the way that I interpreted it was he was one of the few people that knew that Prince Charming had a twin, and that the twin took over.
Oh.
So that's kind of what I got from it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think about that way.
Because it seemed like that in the last season was very covered up, and not many people knew that he was, a pauper, and brought into this role because the real prince died.
Yeah.
So.
And I love that exchange between Charming and Dr. Whale when Charming's like, "Well, who are you then?" He's like, "That's for me to know." like
dun,
oh,
dun,
okay.
dun.
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
More questions.
They're just
more questions just right there off the bat. Like,
I kind of like the fact, or I found it funny where when all the townspeople went to Regina's house, I kind of like the fact that there weren't any like pitchforks or anything, like you see in a normal fairy tale, like when you're going after someone, like Beauty and the Beast.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Like, you have all these pitchforks and axes and
torches.
Stuff, and in the real world, they didn't have anything. They just went to Regina's house, talk her ear off, or I don't know.
beat her up or something.
Yeah.
Kill her with kindness.
Exactly.
Regina, you're so pretty today.
I found that fact just a little funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if, I mean, they didn't know at that point if Regina had any power, so you're kind of showing up at her doorstep empty-handed. Like, what if she had her powers and
she did try that on them.
Yeah, she tried.
I mean, she didn't have her powers, but she tried to push them all back or do something
and
with
they just
her
would have been
hand.
like, smile on my face, I got nothing.
Yeah.
That was a fail.
Yes, definitely a fail on their part. So what ends up happening is that Regina is brought into jail and they lock her up. Obviously, she tries to escape by using magic. It doesn't work. And Rumpelstiltskin confronts her and says that magic doesn't work the same in this world, as we've already talked about. And then he marks her.
Yes,
With
he marks her with that.
The medallion that we've seen throughout this entire episode. He marks her, and we find out that this curse is the soul-sucking demon, and it's basically going to go after Regina's soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because she's marked.
Yes. And that there is no way to be unmarked or get rid of, I guess you can transfer the mark to someone else, but there's no way to kill this demon because it's already dead. The only thing that they can do is banish it to another world, or to the old world, which they think is gone. So,
and I think that was interesting because I guess it is true. Like, the only way you can get rid of it is just literally send it to
Make it
somewhere
someone
else.
else's problem.
So that's the thing. Like, Regina is still marked even after the end of this episode.
yeah.
And we're hopefully we'll see something come out of that. I don't want it to be like, oh, well, other world done.
Yeah. But now that they've gone, they've sent that thing back to the other world, I love that there's kind of like the back and forth. Like,
duality.
Yeah. Like, maybe now, can the thing, is it going to come back over here to get her? Is she going to go over there and get it there?
I liked it that they try to send it to, like, Wonderland with Jefferson's hat. I think that was interesting.
I don't think they sent it to Wonderland. I think they sent it to the Enchanted Lands that used to be, but is now completely desolate because of the curse, except for this one corner, which was explained by Mulan at the end of the episode.
But they don't know why it was.
They don't know why. But during this encounter, Regina actually figures out how to use magic, which is huge. She realizes that everything is just backwards because she's trying to spin this hat clockwise or counterclockwise, and then it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and finally she spins it the other way, and it works.
You know what I thought was interesting? Like, once Regina turned it, we saw Emma grab her arm, and if you remember, Emma was actually born in Fairytale Land, so she's innately magical.
Yeah.
So I thought, like, maybe the fact that Emma was holding on to Regina, there was, like, literally more magic trying to access this portal. So I thought there was a little something there that I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's
maybe
a good point.
See more.
Yeah. So, Charming, Snow, and Emma are all protecting Regina from this demon. And what ends up happening is not only is the demon vanquished to the Enchanted Land, but he brings in Emma, and then Snow goes after Emma because Emma basically chewed her out earlier for saying that she hated being alone for 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And I thought it was great how Emma is, like, actually saved Regina from being the one pulled down. She jumped over that hat and pushed her out of the way and then ended up getting sucked down herself.
Yeah.
So that's just another sign of how much Emma loves Henry, that she kind of sacrificed herself to abide his wishes. So
Yeah.
And I feel it was very fitting that Snow White would be the person to go after someone to save him.
Yeah.
And so when she saw Emma, she's like, no, I'm not going to lose her again.
Yeah.
She
was so
would
touching.
jump
It was
in.
a little cheese ball.
Yeah.
But it worked.
But I love how I think my favorite part was Charmy jumping and just face planting and not making
Yeah.
it through. He
was
was like,
so
boom. It was like, oh man, dude, you were half a second late.
Yeah.
Someone has to
Nice
stay on this
try.
side. Someone has to stay in Storybrooke to go after them. And
Hang out with Henry.
yes.
Yeah.
So he then, Charming, says to Regina, I'm going to get you. And he thinks he's going to kill her. She has figured out magic and tries to kill him. And then Henry walks in, her Achilles heel.
Yeah.
Yes. Literally saves David.
Grandpa.
Grandpa.
Yes.
Yeah. And this encounter is really awkward, I feel like, because it's the first time Henry sees her being an evil person.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she had done a
guess.
lot of like mean things.
She's done a lot of
to people.
mean things.
She's done a lot of mean things, but like Henry's never seen her try to kill someone. I mean,
Yeah.
he was up against a wall, wrapped in vines, like choke or suffocating.
Yeah.
You know, from lack of oxygen. To walk in and see your mom doing that to someone, I mean, that could be traumatic.
Doing that to your grandpa.
Yeah, to your grandpa of all people. You know, it's like my adoptive mom is trying to kill my grandpa. Like, that's crazy.
That sounds like an episode of Jerry Springer.
And they're all the same age.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that Regina knows where this thing is going? Because she kept going, I don't know where it's going. I don't know where it takes us and all that stuff. Do you think she knows that there was another world that was untouched?
I think that she genuinely believes that all of the Enchanted Land was gone.
Uh-huh. Okay.
But I don't know, because at the end of season 1, she goes back for the apple. So she knows that at least part of it is still there. Because she did go back for that apple
And
through the hat to...
Yeah.
And, like, wouldn't she wonder, or, like, I wonder how Mulan's doing? Well, not really, but, you know, like,
Yeah.
Prince Phillip and Aurora, I wonder if they're...
Alive.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
she has, like, all those memories, even when everyone else was cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's
I think
interesting.
she was also so focused on getting her own happy ending that
Yeah.
she kind of maybe doesn't care. She's like, oh, they're probably all sleeping, you know.
But like, if she threw them back into that world, I wonder why she would throw them into that specific world, the untouched one that's all thorny and stuff.
I think maybe she does believe that there is still an existing land there that they're all banished to, but she can't pinpoint where they went back to in the land.
Yeah.
So maybe there was some truth there that she doesn't know where they went.
Yeah. She doesn't know, but I think she knows that they're alive, and
Well, most of them are alive.
Yeah.
Prince Phillip is now dead, or his soul has been gone,
yeah.
taken.
I feel like there might be a way to get him back. You know,
I hope.
maybe another
hope so.
kiss would do it.
Not a Dementor's kiss. True love's kiss.
True love's kiss could bring him back again. He's laying
Yes.
on her old bed, so
Yeah.
maybe if it's Mulan's kiss this time.
Ooh.
Ooh. Oh yeah, I went there. Oh yeah.
Seriously. So this whole episode is wrapped up at the end. I thought it was crazy, but they say, you know, there's some stirring underneath some of the brush or, you know, debris, and Mulan goes over and checks it and basically says to Aurora that Emma and Snow are the reason why Phillip is dead.
Which makes no sense to me, but
No.
It didn't make any sense to me either.
I kind of I get why they would say that, because once Emma and Snow came over, somehow the Wraith came over with them, and that's the reason why Prince is dead.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
So they're the cause of it, but maybe not the actual killer.
but when you've lost the love of your life, you're probably not thinking rationally.
yeah,
You're more just like, it's your fault. I'm gonna get you.
I mean, with the producers, it's so hard to tell what happens when because the storyline is so, you know,
literally
All over the
it's,
place.
Yeah.
it's, you know, you see these two stories going on simultaneously, but we don't really know when all of these things happen because there is no timeline.
yeah, that's right, no direct timeline.
Yeah, there are two dimensions, and we don't know whether, you know, Regina's soul was trying to be sucked first, or Phillip's soul and which land this Wraith is in at what time. The way that I thought that it happened was that he was in Storybrooke, or Rumpelstiltskin summoned him from wherever he was. He came to Storybrooke, tried to suck Regina's soul, and then went back with those two. They were underneath the debris, and then he took Phillip's soul.
That's how I. That's
Is that
how
what
I
you guys
followed
thought?
it.
But the thing is, like, when they find the debris, Phillip's already dead.
But maybe they got there before, and that's just when they found the debris.
If you realize, though, Emma and Snow are both unconscious, so they could have been laying there for a couple hours while this demon sucked everything.
And that was the one thing about this storyline, because there was no Mulan or Aurora or Prince Phillip in Storybrooke. That's kind of why I felt like maybe they were happening at the same time. Because in all the other storylines, when you see one in Fairy Tale, you immediately see them in Storybrooke. So kind of doing it this way with like that parallel editing.
I definitely think that they're doing it at the same time, but I don't know. There might be more than one soul sucker or whatever.
Yeah.
Like in different worlds, like that. So there might be more than one medallion.
Like maybe he rolls with a posse.
Exactly. He's like, yo, go over there.
Yeah, like maybe there's like 10 of them who go around and just kind of alternate.
You see a lot of Dementors. That would make sense.
So the final plot point in this entire episode actually happened at the very beginning, and it was this unknown character who we still don't know his name, who he is, anything about him. He was in an apartment, and a pigeon dove thing.
It was New York, though.
I think it was the Mad Hatter, wasn't it? The Mad Hatter?
No, it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't Jefferson.
No.
Okay, because I saw the signs that said Mad Hatter or something.
Yeah, in his apartment, I saw that too.
That's why I got
Maybe what was the Mad Hatter's sidekick?
The bunny.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, no. Well, in
the Disney version, it was that.
Yeah, it was
Crazy bunny.
Yeah,
and then he also had that hallucinogenic cat thing.
Oh,
the Cheshire
yes.
cat.
But anyways, getting off topic. This guy goes into the apartment, and this bird delivers a postcard. And on one side it says broken, and on the other side it's
from Storybrooke.
From Storybrooke. Wish you were here.
And I thought it was interesting. The postcard had the clock that said 8:15.
Yes.
Oh, I did not pinpoint that.
Yes. So what do we think that this means?
I want to believe that he's someone he clearly is someone who knew about the curse. I don't know how he knew about it. Maybe I don't know. I mean, I kind of want him to end up being like Henry's dad or something.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, he's kind of creepy.
Like he's clearly someone who's in the know of everything, but who else has come to this world that's in the know?
Yeah.
Not many.
Well, we still don't know what happened to Rumpelstiltskin's son.
The Mad Hatter knew, kind of.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
There are so many characters that we still need to figure out.
Yeah, there's so
many questions still need to be answered.
I think that it's kind of like a loop, and he's going to play an important role eventually, just because the object that brought Emma and Snow White into the other world was a hat. So I think he had all these hats and all this junk that he might somehow tie into bringing them back.
Yeah.
Whenever that may be.
Another stranger showing up in Storybrooke.
Right.
And that's another thing we talked about, because now that the curse is broken, can people come into Storybrooke and leave?
Yeah.
So.
That'd be cool. Maybe.
Get a bunch of tourists coming out.
Let's go.
I feel like there's so much to be covered throughout this entire season. It's almost mind-numbing.
And this was just the first episode.
Yes, the first episode. It was amazing, though.
Yes.
Did it meet your expectations?
I did. It did. I liked it. It was a great start to season 2.
Yeah. You guys too?
I think it definitely exceeded my expectations, because I was like, how are they going to make a story after the curse has been broken? How are they going to have the parallel? But they did it.
Yeah.
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 Although the curse has been broken, the battle still needs to be fought. And that is what they said at the end of last season. So,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting.
It'll be a battle royale.
Moving on to news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know if anyone else was watching Jim and Kimmel Live. I think it was last Thursday. Jennifer Goodwin was on there, and she was talking about how she's like a super, super Disney freak, loves it, has dreamed about being Snow White. Like, that was her lifetime goal, was just to be Snow White in a Disneyland park, and now she's playing her on TV. But she's actually worked it out somehow when she was negotiating her contract to get a Disneyland pass, so she goes all the time, and she also is a part of Club 33 at Disneyland, like the secret society. So I thought that was cute, and I mean, her and Prince Charming, Josh Dallas. Yeah, they since they're a couple in real life, like they're pictured at Disneyland all the time, and I thought that was kind of fun and sweet.
Yeah.
They're fitting.
They're like so into their roles. It's like cute, disgusting. But yeah.
Well, they take it seriously. So.
Yeah. And then the person who plays Regina, Lana Parrilla. Yeah, I can't roll my L's like that. Anyways, she was interviewed, and she was actually said she was talking about how cute of a couple Jennifer and Josh actually are in real life, and how on set they're very professional. Like, everyone knows that they're dating, but they kind of keep that stuff separate. So I thought that was kind of a great dynamic, because I mean, you can clearly see in their acting, like, you know, that there's a connection there, because that's a very strong bond. But I think it's great that, you know, they don't make everyone feel awkward, like making out in corners.
There's no PDA. Nothing happening in the trailers.
Yeah.
Or did it?
I was shaking in the trailer.
They're like, let's go practice this line, the makeout scene in that trailer.
Yeah.
So any other news?
That's all I got for now. Anyone else with news? Oh, actually, sorry.
Yes, one more.
Jennifer Goodwin was talking about, like, you know, just storylines and what we might see this season and stuff. And
if you're not into
I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm just going to say a lot of the questions about, like, who people are and who people's relationships might be will be answered.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good.
That is good to know.
And she said by episode 6, so we should have a lot of answers.
Yeah, that's only like, that's really quick.
5 Sundays.
Yeah.
But then I'm sure with that it'll bring like 5 million more questions.
5 Sundays too long.
I know.
Seriously. I just want to watch this entire season tomorrow, so we just do that.
Can we get some advanced
If they answer all of our questions right away, then there'd be nothing to watch.
That's true.
That's true.
Whatever. Okay. I'm over it, producer. Just give it all to me. Okay.
It's been a week.
Exactly. Last but not least, the predictions.
Okay.
We saw at the end.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV
predictions. We saw at the end of this episode, there was a lot going on. It looks like there's a lot of other characters that still have yet to be introduced. Captain Hook, Lancelot. I can't even name half of the other ones. And then we kind of, I feel like we saw them back in the Enchanted Place. Like, we saw Prince Charming back in the other world.
Yeah, there was a short clip, and he was kind of dressed in his stuff, so maybe, I don't know if he's back there, or if maybe that was a flashback. Maybe we go back into, you know, their background story again.
But he's always going to find them. And it's so cute, because now it's not just like, he always said to Snow, he's like, I will always find you. I will always come after you. And now it's them. It's Emma and Snow. He wants to keep his family together.
So sweet.
Even though Emma's kind of ungrateful at this moment.
Yeah. I have to say that all kids go through a phase where they are ungrateful towards their parents. So maybe she's just experiencing that, you know, teenage rebellion when she's 28 instead of when she's 60.
She's still feeling, you know, abandoned.
Yeah.
In a way, even though it was
the only time she can feel it, though, because she didn't have that.
Yeah.
So it's all coming back right now.
Yeah.
Right.
So what do you think is going to happen? I mean, I know it's so broad, but just give me one prediction for the rest of the season.
I think either Regina or Rumpelstiltskin, they're going to have to be the one that turns good and defeat the other. I don't know which one it's going to be, but it's going to be that way.
I think Henry's gonna play a big role in both realms. I don't know what he's gonna do, but because I said he is that constant, so he's that person that's just gonna do something. I don't know what.
He's gonna grow up.
Something's gonna happen.
He's gonna turn into a man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a prediction about the mysterious man we met at the beginning of this episode. I want to say he's either Henry's dad or Rumpelstiltskin's son.
Okay.
Ooh, both of those would be fun.
Yeah, both of those would be a lot of fun. So.
Okay, I hope you're right. Either one.
Me too. That would be the first time for me.
So I don't know if I have any predictions, but I feel like I really want to see someone else with magic. And this sounds really morbid, but I feel like a character is going to die. A major character.
I think you're right on both counts as well.
I think they have to kind of
like
someone
bounce it out.
Yeah, which, I mean, August, what happened to him?
Yeah.
He turned into wood, Pinocchio.
He might come back.
Yeah, he might, now that magic's back.
And also,
hopefully Grant comes back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sheriff Graham.
I love so many of these guys. Good job in the casting department.
Yeah.
Round of applause for you.
Kudos to
casting directors.
So we have so much to talk about. I mean, I feel like this episode, this after show could have gone on so many more hours. But in the meantime, until we are back next week, if viewers want to contact you,
you can find me on Twitter. I'm at TweetT22, TWEETEE22.
I am at Marisa Movies. That's MARISA Movies. I also do the Glee after show on Thursdays.
And I am at KAORIOUS. That's Kaorius.
And you can find me on Twitter at Catherine Kelley with a C and then KELLEY. So, for all of us here at AfterBuzz TV, thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure to tune in to another episode of Once Upon a Time next Sunday night.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye. See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.